What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I'm showcasing a build that I've been loving for the past few months. To all the Hunter mains in my audience, I haven't forgotten about you. I've just been trying to catch up on so many amazing builds that I've used since the final shape. But this is a build that I have a long history with. It centers around the exotic chess piece Raiden Flux, which has the exotic perk Synapse Junctions. Quick successive attacks with Arc Staff increase its damage output and duration. So I've spoken about this in videos about Stormdancer's Brace and Ballador's Wrathweavers, among others, but any exotics that only buff your super are typically not worth running because you just don't get enough supers to make it worth it. They need some neutral game enhancing effect. Otherwise, you may as well just use it as a swap exotic. But this is one of the rare exceptions, and the big reason for that is with their roaming super cooldown changes that Bungie introduced back in episode Revenant. It made it so you get your roaming super roughly 3 times faster than before, and this made it so that Raiden Flux was at least worth considering. I took it through the birthplace of the Vile GM, and I was beyond impressed. It's an ad-heavy GM, so a roaming super that lasts an eternity is perfect there. Additionally, it deals a shit ton of damage to champions, and in a team, this is amazing because you could have your teammates stun a champion while you're in super, allowing you to demolish it nearly instantly with a palm strike combo. If you don't know how this works, you do a light attack, and then heavy attack, and then it deals a massive amount of damage. This is the optimal way to use Arc Staff, and the damage increases even further thanks to Raiden Flux. It allows you to easily delete any GM champion extremely quickly. So back in the day, you could actually dodge and apply Jolt with your Arc Staff attack, allowing this to stun overload champions. I've not been able to get this to work for a long time, but I know it used to work because I proved it in my Every Way to Stun a Champion series that I did a couple years ago on the channel. So let me know down in the comments if I'm doing something wrong or this truly no longer works. Regardless, it doesn't matter too much because this super is strong enough to just outright delete an overload before it even regens its health, which is just totally nuts. But one thing that it can for sure do is stun unstoppables while in your super, which is wonderful. You can do the ground pound to do this or the palm strike combo. Personally, I like doing the ground slam way better for stunning unstoppables. You can just do that and then follow up with the palm strike combo and they basically fall over. And when we get into the build, you can just apply Jolt with your melee instead and then pop your super to deal with an overload if you want. So speaking of the actual build, what is best for this build? Well, this isn't a traditional build video of mine. Normally, all my videos have a theme and synergies that make it strong, but not this build. It is solely based off of Raiden Flux and just fucking shit up with this amazing super. I've honestly used this build with every combination of aspects and they all work great. I've used the classic punch combo of Flow State and Lethal Current with Combination Blow to do the punchy Hunter setup, and then just use my super whenever I get it. And this tried and true combo still works well. I've also used Ascension and Tempest Strike, and this is also a decent combination. But the build I think that is best for endgame and is extremely effective and powerful is Flow State and Tempest Strike. Flow State states defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you're more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. On screen now are all the benefits as sourced by the amazing folks at the Destiny Data Compendium. But the big thing to know is this gives us our dodge a lot quicker, which is perfect because we have Gambler's Dodge on so that we can get our melee back when we dodge near enemies. And this will give us our Tempest Strike melee. Tempest Strike got buffed in Heresy and it feels great now. It was good even before, but not many people were running Arc Hunter and GMs. But I did use it to great effect with my Lucky Raspberry build over a year ago. Anyways, these buffs make it even better and it applies Jolt, which will proc Flow State. So basically we have near infinite Tempest Strikes, and with Jolt, this allows us to stun overloads. And for our base melee, we use Disorienting Blow, which blinds enemies, so this can also be used to stun unstoppable champions. Granted, it is a bit risky, but still, your melee can be used to stun 2 types of champions. One other thing to note is you cannot stun an unstoppable with the Tempest Strike melee, even with Disorienting Blow equipped. I just wanted to point that out. Also, Disorienting Blow got a buff as well. It now has a larger blind radius, and it also amplifies you and gives you bolt charge stacks. It's honestly really effective in endgame content. I guess I should add a caveat here, and that is that this playstyle is not for everyone, and it's not good in every single situation. If you have Shriekers or some long distance enemy, you won't be able to do much with your build, but that's what our weapons are for. But in close quarters, if you're good with playing up close, this build is absolutely amazing. You'll be sending out jolting melees with Tempest Strike, dodging to get your melee right back, and then sending out another. This gives great ad clear, and this season, it's even better with all the arc-based artifact mods. You can get Bolt Charge and deal even more damage with your Tempest Strike as well if you have your Bolt Charge stacks full. We also have some awesome anti-champion weapons. Darcy is great with Anti-Barrier Sniper, and it can apply Jolt to stun overloads. Queenbreaker is a monster with particle reconstruction and unstoppable fusion rifle. The single shot can blind enemies, and the 3-round burst is a DPS monster. My personal favorite is Thunderlord. It has great ammo economy, is awesome against overloads, and it builds super energy very quickly. And it recently got a buff where it will also build Bolt Charge. Glaives are also amazing with this build. Because it's so aggro and requires aggressive play, you can send out a Tempest Strike and then whip out your glaive and block and shoot enemies. I love Nezarek's Whisper with this build with Demolitionist and Frenzy. My ideal loadout would be an anti-barrier sidearm, ideally Tinashe's Mastery with Chill Clip, which can deal with all champion types, and then Thunderlord or any exotic heavy of your choice. For fragments, the most important one is Spark of Resistance. This gives you 25% damage reduction when surrounded by 3 or more enemies and will be surrounded a lot. And I didn't mention it, but Amplified was buffed in episode Heresy, and it now gives 15% DR and it makes enemies less accurate when shooting at you. It's perfect for this build as you're always amplified. And speaking of DR, make sure you run 100 resilience with this build, then just as high of discipline as you can get. After that, it doesn't really matter. Strength is basically pointless because we have Gambler's Dodge to get our melee, and mobility isn't needed because of flow state, plus we are nearly always amplified, which gives an additional 50 mobility. For the next fragment, I like Spark of Shock to allow our pulse grenades to jolt enemies. Jolt is amazing and pulse grenades hit very hard. Next, I run Spark of Feedback. This increases our melee damage after we take a melee hit. This does give us plus 10 resilience, which is why I run it, so if you have better stats than me, then just substitute this out for something else. But you may get it to proc from time to time, and then it will buff your melee damage. Alright, so you know what I love about making build videos? When I actually write out the script, it forces me to justify the reasons I'm running certain things because I have to give you, the viewers, my reasoning for my fragment and mod selections. So I went back to the drawing board after writing this out because I thought, you know, running a whole fragment just for 10 resilience seems pretty stupid. I've always said your fragment selection and how they synergize is far more important than your build stats. And then I literally just said I run this fragment for 10 resil. So right after voice recording, I went in and moved some stuff around to make this build far better for endgame. I scrapped Spark of Feedback, moved some stat mods around, and now I still have tier 10 discipline and resilience, even with Spark of Shock, but now we have Spark of Beacons instead. Obviously, if you are not running arc, special, and heavy weapons, don't use this fragment, but for what I think is the best version of this build for endgame, I highly recommend running arc weapons and using Spark of Beacons. As always, you do you and tweak it to your heart's content, but yeah, I just wanted to move this around because I plan on using this build for some GM runs this season when I go to guild my Conqueror seal. And on the gloves, I think your best choices for mods are Impact Induction and Focusing Strike, and of course Heavy-Handed. Anyways, editor's note over, back to the video. And finally we have Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target or scoring a kill with Bolt Charge creates an Ionic Trace. This gives us more traces, which gives us more ability energy, so it plays well into the gameplay loop. And the gameplay loop is basically just spam your abilities, use your weapons in between cooldowns, and then pop your super whenever it's smart to do so. But definitely be liberal with your super. You get a lot of them, and that is the main focus of this build. And our mods let us get even more supers. Hands-on is great for more super energy on melee kills, which we get a lot of, and then just siphon mods to match our weapons to create lots of orbs. On the gloves, heavy-handed for orbs on melee kills and momentum transfer and impact induction to feed our abilities even more. On the chest, we want resist mods to match the activity. On the legs, recuperation is great for survivability, and then innervation for grenade energy on orb pickup and absolution to reduce all ability cooldowns. Or you could go with a scav mod. On the class item, double bomber and distribution for tons of grenade energy every time we dodge, which is a lot. Or you could do powerful attraction if you wanted. And that's pretty much it. It's a very basic build, there's really not much to it. But it does make me so happy to see a Red War exotic being amazing in the big 2025. I've always loved this exotic, and it was meta for taking down Valka Ore in the Spire of Stars raid because it hits so damn hard. Anyways, if the video was helpful, a like would be greatly appreciated. I honestly just love this build and it's such a fun playstyle, and it will wreck in Grandmasters this episode, so definitely give it a try. If you're still here, thanks so much for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.